Many people all over the Hill Country affected by the flooding that we have been seeing in the last 36 hours. And we said before, we have crews spread out across the Hill Country to bring you all of these different stories. We talked a lot about Kerrville, but now we want to talk about an area just kind of down the river from there, from the Guadalupe. Last night, a big point of concern was Spring Branch, where the Guadalupe swell was quickly moving. I mean, Adam had been talking about this throughout much of the day yesterday. You could see that even late last night, that river was rising fast. Difficult to tell, however, because it was so dark. But our Zaria Oates was there capturing this video as that water was going up.
Yeah, fast forward to this morning, and this is what folks in Spring Branch were dealing with. It actually wasn't as bad as it was feared. You can see the Guadalupe moving very swiftly through there, but no major flooding in the Spring Branch area.
Luckily, it crested 10 feet below the forecast.
Crested 10 feet below,
which was very good news.
Which is obviously very good news.
Okay, now we're going to send things on over to JP. He is over on Highway 90 east of Seguin before Gonzales. JP, it looks like you're right in front of an RV park. Tell us what you see and what people there are telling you.
Steve, Stephania, this stretch of Highway 90 in the early morning hours got close to 10 inches of rain, so we've been checking out areas downriver, as you guys were mentioning, and right now, luckily, no visible damages. Everything here is holding up just fine. I did speak to at least one camper who said a little while before we showed up, maybe an hour ago, that a firefighter came and briefed some of the campers here, just giving them a warning or just a heads up that upstream, about 5 or 6 miles upstream, the water gauges there were rising about 5-6 feet. So one camper we spoke to said it wasn't worth it for him. He went ahead, packed up his belongings as well as his trailer and took off. Take a listen to what he had to say.
But I'm not gonna risk the rig and the dogs and the wife, and
It's Saturday. You guys were planning on staying here until Tuesday, leaving as a safety precaution.
Yes, sir. Getting out of here while we can.
Now, other places we also checked along the way over here was Seguin. We stopped by there. Things were looking much better than they were earlier this morning. I spoke to Seguin police. They told us that the roads were opening up. They said the only damages they really noticed were property damages as well as road damage. They did say they had no injuries, luckily. They did have just a few water rescues. Then making our way further down, we also stopped at Lake McQueenie. The dam there seemed to be holding up fairly well. The water levels, the river, the canals seem to be flowing steadily. But again, as the firefighter told campers here, it's something you have to keep in mind that water, even if it's not raining right now, water is making its way downriver. So if you're along that river pathway, you want to keep an eye on how things are flowing and moving. We're going to continue checking up on things here on this side of town and keep you updated. Steve, Stephania?
Yeah, John Paul, thank you. John Paul Barajas reporting live from just outside of Seguin. And, that was the concern this morning, that the rains we were seeing were New Braunfels, Seguin. We saw some flooding in some parking lots and things like that. I believe the Waco Falls area, we saw a little bit of flooding, but nothing major like what we saw in the Kerrville area.
Right, obviously, because this is an area, and I want to ask you, Adam, because it's something that you wanted to make sure that you emphasize. So there was the flooding yesterday that we saw in Kerrville, and then the concern separately just was the amount of rainfall that could cause flooding in other parts, correct?
Yeah, so this was separate, like what JP was reporting on. Yes, that's separate. So basically from Canyon Lake to New Braunfels and then into Seguin, but especially the stretch from Canyon Lake down toward New Braunfels and Green. And this is part of that stretch. So this could have been deadly. It really could have been. Look at this. Looks like a pop-up trailer type of camper because you see a little bit of a tent structure, but also kind of a flat roof. That was swept away. This is River Road Camp swept away. This is from Josh. And this is at Canyon Lake Boat Ramp 7. This is just inside the lake from where the Guadalupe flows in. And there is significant debris. That is a example. I mean, it almost looks like that's dried bed that you could walk across. Those are logs, those are sticks. It's including some trash and just belongings from people from upstream, but especially a lot of logs at Boat Ramp 7. And if that's a little too much for you, a little moving too quickly, look at that. Big old just piles of logs and debris and people's belongings that have been flowing into Canyon Lake. So we appreciate, all the eyes on the ground for us and everybody that gives us our updates, and here on KSAT Connect, keeping us updated. Now, this is the Guadalupe. This was at 3 p.m., so this is after all the heavy rain at FM 1117. So this would be down just south of Seguin. Guadalupe River goes from Canyon Lake. Canyon Lake is the big catch there, the big reservoir, and then it flows down to New Braunfels, Green, New Braunfels, and then Seguin, and then past Seguin goes all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. But that was the look earlier today. And really, no flooding, no river flooding, I should say, issues along the Guadalupe around Seguin. Of course, we had the flash flooding, so road and street flooding. That was a different situation. So just light shower activity, enough to just keep everything wet and damp outside, even though we need a chance to dry out. I anticipate there could be a little bit more development over the next couple of hours. So I'm keeping that rain chance high just over the next couple of hours for a few pop-up downpours that I simply cannot rule out. And then I think tonight, after sunset, it's going to get a lot quieter. After sunset, pretty quiet. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about those rainfall totals from earlier. Now, this is what we were talking about that Stefania brought up from earlier today. Guadalupe River flows into Canyon Lake from the west, flows into Canyon Lake. And then here's Canyon Lake, and then it flows down Green, New Braunfels, over to Seguin and southward. And the rainfall totals here in Comal County, we had one of these heavy torrential downpours pop up, over 7 inches of rain estimated just west of I-35. So that's why the Guadalupe River swelled and did flood along River Road running basically from Canyon Lake all the way down into New Braunfels and Green. Really quickly get to the forecast here. And I particularly want to talk about our rain chances going forward. Now, we have that at 60% chance today. That's basically through sunset. Tomorrow, another 40% chance, especially as I mentioned before, between basically I-35 and the Rio Grande. That's in the Hill Country Edwards Plateau. Monday, generally dry, isolated chances. Tuesday, an upper level system coming in from the Gulf, I think, would give us another shot of a few showers and thunderstorms Tuesday late in the day and especially in the evening. So all these days, something to watch in terms of the chance of some showers and storms. Here's a look at our future cast. And I think this is actually a pretty good representation of what can happen, especially as we get into tomorrow, where the rain-making energy and axis and upper level low in the atmosphere starts to drift from basically North Texas down into the Edwards Plateau, parts of the Hill Country, and then toward the Rio Grande. So rain would basically be favored in that area between I-35 and the Rio Grande. But keep in mind, these models, they have a lot of error with them, right? This batch of heavy rain could be anywhere from Ozona, Del Rio, Rock Springs, possibly even Kerrville, Fredericksburg, and Blanco, maybe even a little closer to San Antonio. So that's what we're watching for tomorrow and why we raise those rain chances again, and even some downpours in parts of San Antonio as well. So as we get through the next couple of days, daylight hours, more pop-up downpours, nighttime hours are looking a lot quieter. Back to you.
Okay, Adam, thank you for that. And we also want to pop something up on our screen, and this has to do with the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center. Anybody, if you're in the South Central Texas area, if you're thinking about what you can do to help some of the people who have been affected and hurt as a result of the flooding, this is what you can do. You can check out southtexasblood.org and set up an appointment for you to go and donate blood. You can also call 210-731-5590. Yes, walk-ins are welcome, but it would actually be a lot easier if you went on the website, because from there you can schedule a specific time for you to go and donate blood, and that way you could be in and out.
Yeah, and you want to check the hours, because I'm not sure at this hour that all of those locations are still open. Check out the website first. Always good advice.
It's 9 locations over our area.
Also want to mention the fact that we are expecting an update at the top of the hour, another update from Kerrville on what they are looking at, if the rescue operation continues. A pretty good idea it is, because we heard a lot of helicopters going over Myra Arthur as she was doing her report moments ago. Also want to go to Dylan Collier, who is in the Ingram Hunt.
We'll go to Dylan,
we'll go to
in
Dylan
a moment.
in a second.
Now we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
The latest numbers are not good. 32 people are dead, 18 adults, 14 children. 5 of the adults have not been identified. 3 of the children haven't been identified. We know at least 27 people are still missing. A large number of those are from the Camp Mystic site, which is near Hunt, Texas.
Okay, so in a few minutes, hopefully, we're hoping to get another update from leaders. We don't know if that's going to be the governor or if this is going to be specifically from people, the leaders in Kerr County. So we're waiting for that. Meantime, we've been saying that we've got reporters spread out. We've got a number of them in Kerrville, and I believe we were going to show something from our Patty Santos that she shot today. If we can listen to that right now.
Okay, we've got a little confusion going on in the control room right now.
A lot going on.
Let's check in with our Adam Cascu right now to talk about the weather situation, what we can expect over the next few hours and days. Adam.
Yes, and we can anticipate some more pop-up showers and even some downpours. And I do think even tomorrow afternoon and evening, we could have another bullseye of heavy rain. Between 4 to 7 inches is not out of the question with this type of weather pattern. Now, right now it's very light rain. This is nothing to really worry about. But as I mentioned before, I anticipate a few little pop-ups. I just can't rule it out. I know with these systems that we can still get that up and through about 9 p.m. And this may be the beginning of one right here near Carpenter between Lone Oak and Lavernia. So we'll watch for more of this. But again, after sunset, starting to simmer down, and then we'll see some more development tomorrow.
Thank you, Adam. Let's go out to our Dylan Collier right now. He's in the Hunt Ingram area, an area that along Cade Loop that was cut off for a good part of, more than 24 hours, Dylan. But we're happy to report the bridge has been fixed.
The bridge has been fixed at one of the entrances to Cade Loop. We're just off of TX 39. And throughout the day yesterday, we spoke with a man, Bill Walsham, stage 4 cancer. He owns property off of Cade Loop, has a number of buildings here. He was among those hundreds of people in this area that were stranded. He was running low on medicine. You could tell from talking with him yesterday and speaking with him today that the panic had really sunk in. He wanted to get off of Cade Loop. He wanted to get out of this area. He had been calling the sheriff's office, asking if nothing else to have a helicopter come and get him out. He was concerned about immunocompromised, having a lot of bacteria around him. This was some of what he told us yesterday about his situation.
Overnight it was rattling the entire house, the windows. The thunder was just like sledgehammers hitting the roof. It was unreal. It was rocking us out of bed, and the rain was just relentless. And I personally thought, it's probably, flood, the river's going to come up a little bit. I had no idea what I was going to see.
Yeah.
This happens, the night before the 4th, when the most people are here, and probably in the most people in dangerous areas. So it's just hair-raising that something like this would happen.
And we are happy to report within the last half hour, we heard from Bill. He was able to be driven off of Cade Loop to safety. So a little bit of good news and all of this sad news that we've had to report over the last day and a half.
Dylan, that warms my heart because we aired that interview with Bill Walsham yesterday. We found out that, that he was undergoing cancer treatment, but even while he was worried about himself, he was more worried about all of the people around him who needed help, and he just felt helpless. And I'm so happy that we got another update from him and that he is now safe. So thank you so much for getting that information for us.
Hey, Dylan, I'm struck by the fact that Cade Loop is a popular area. People go to their vacation. There are some people that own property and have houses, like you just mentioned, Bill, in that area. But you look behind you and you see all the trees that are gone and all the vegetation that has been swept away. I mean, you talked to a woman earlier that said basically the landscape and topography of that area is changed forever.
Yeah. She said it'll never be the same. Amy Maroney said 2 days ago she sat in the river on a chair as it gently went by, had her toes in the river, was looking at the forecast, saw that it was possibly going to drizzle the next 2 days, and then it got a little more serious in terms of the forecasting for number of inches of rain. Now we're talking several hundred feet on both sides of that river. The water extended to, covered up a lot of houses on Cade Loop, even the ones that are back and built into the hillside. The water came onto their property, came up the property line near the actual buildings. Just incredible to see how much could change in a matter of a couple hours.
What is that's in the debris there? Is that a boat? Side of a house? What is
You've
that?
got a Sea-Doo jet ski.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Paddle boat.
Yeah, it looks like a paddle boat, and then a Sea-Doo flipped over on top of it. Sal, were those Texas game wardens? Yeah, so we just in the last few minutes we had Texas game wardens searching this area, marking X's. We'll send it back to you guys.
Yeah, and those game wardens have been very active. Now we want to go.
Thank you, Dylan.
Oh, we're told that we have a press conference.
We're going to the 6 o'clock press conference update. Let's go there now.
Yeah, y'all tell me when you're ready.
And again, you said 10 and 3 tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll go over that to you. Yeah, I'll go over that. I'm not gonna go till everybody says. Everybody ready? Yes, sir. All right. All right, like I said, thank y'all again for being here. Those that don't know, Larry Letha, Kirk County Sheriff. How we're gonna run this, I'm gonna talk a little bit and then the city manager talk. We're gonna take very few questions. Starting tomorrow, we're gonna do 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. tomorrow for y'all. We're doing the best we can to get you as much information as fast as we can. As I tell you today, and I expect tomorrow and the next couple of days, information's changing rapidly and quickly. Got a few notes here. We continue to have hundreds of first responders on the ground, water in this search and rescue process. We have a lot of people here. We got a lot of help. We're very fortunate. Here's some new updated numbers for y'all. As of 5:30, we have recovered 43 deceased individuals in Kerr County. Among these who are deceased, we have 28 adults and 15 children. 12 adults pending identification and 5 children are pending identification at this time. Our missing persons call center is open to those reporting missing loved ones. The phone number is 830-258-1111. Repeating, 830-258-1111. We also are accepting these reports via email at floodrecovery@co.kerr.tx.us. Repeating, floodrecovery@co.kerr.tx.us. Please provide the last known location, identifying information if possible. We appreciate the assistance we're receiving from all levels of government, from local agencies to state and federal agencies responding. I tell you, the governor has assured us, along with the federal government, that we will have all the resources we need, and we do have that. We've got all the resources we need. We're in really good shape to keep going for several more days. I want to tell y'all something. I appreciate y'all's cooperation. We will try to get you as much updated information as we can starting tomorrow at 10 and 3 o'clock. Once again, as your Kerr County Sheriff, I assure you we're going to do everything along with our partners, and we'll be on this till we find the last body. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to our city manager, Dalton Rice.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good evening. Dalton Rice, the city manager for City of Kerrville. Mayor Herring wanted me to just give a message. He's out with the teams. He's kind of checking on everybody. Just like everybody else, we all need to take downtime to include y'all. So make sure y'all are taking care of yourselves as well. We're in a marathon, and we got to make sure we always think about that and look after each other. So a couple updates. Since 6 a.m. this morning, we've had a combined primary clear, so aerial and ground, of about 100-meter distance on either side of the Guadalupe River from 1 mile north of Camp Mystic up through Hunt and Ingram. So we talked about that briefly this morning. Excuse me. We talked about that briefly this morning. So 100 meters on each side, they are continuing operations on that. We are also working on operations within the city of Kerrville as well, again, along the riverbanks as, since the waters have receded some. We are working on, again, we talked about downtime. We are working on locations for first responders to make sure that they do have, their adequate downtime and their rest. We're constantly going through kind of shift management cycles to make sure that our first responders and our crews and teams are taken care of. Public Works, so water is looking good. We've identified some leaks. We've been able to shut those leaks down or isolate those leaks. We will be likely operating off of well water probably for the next foreseeable about 4 weeks is what we're projecting. So we're not going to be pulling surface water for about 4 weeks. With these type of events, there's a lot of debris, there's a lot of chemicals, a lot of gasoline, a lot of other contaminants that are in there. We are working with TCEQ and other partners in there to make sure that we get these issues addressed as quickly as possible. We get a lot of information for people who are wanting help. Excuse me. A lot of people who are wanting information to help. Best thing you can do, especially right in your small local area, don't go out into major areas. Public Works mentioned just, hey, pick up a little bit of debris in your trash cans or your trash bags. Keep it local, but stay out of the major areas. Everything is still, very, very dangerous, very hazardous conditions. Let me pull up our KPUB utility report. Of course, it went away. So KPUB still has approximately 600 customers that are without power. The largest remaining outage customers are west of Ingram, south of 39, along South Fork of Hunt. KPUB issued a mutual aid request on July 4th. 50 personnel and utilities and contractors from across Texas are coming in to support operations and restoration. Hunt or South Fork sustained extensive storm-related damage, including approximately 40 downed power poles with widespread tree and flood debris, heavily damaged infrastructure. Restoration in these remaining areas will be lengthy and complex, and customers should prepare for multi-day outages. Customers outside of these remaining areas still experiencing an outage should report it to KPUB by calling KPUB's outage line at 855-959-2496. But power has been restored to most of the other customers. Like I said, about 600 are still remaining. A lot of the county is also on Aqua Texas or private wells. We try to get information on that, but we don't have a lot of information as far as private wells are concerned or the status of Aqua Texas. But a big bulk of what we had coming through the Guadalupe is within the city limits, which is on the city limit, or city water supply. Aqua Texas and some of those other public water systems are typically outside of what we're thinking is the damage area, but we have not had any reports from Aqua Texas on outages. And with that, we will take a couple questions.
Well, the recovery for some of the recovery of bodies in Louise Hayes Park, and the other part of that question is how many red tag buildings are now on the river that the Kerrville Fire Department has issued?
Yeah, so when you talk about red tag, you're talking about like condemned buildings. Obviously out here, the damage is extensive. Right now, we're really focused on life safety. We are focused on search and rescue. Search and rescue is the priority. So we're not really red tagging buildings. Now we do have structural teams come out. They will mark stuff. You'll see spray paint. A lot of that is to identify where we've at least primary searched. But we are not going into the structural side of things unless it poses a risk to first responders. Our primary focus is on search and rescue of every single person involved, and we'll continue through the night to make sure that happens. Yes, real quick, we are finding bodies and stuff. We knew today was going to be that day. So our numbers are going to constantly be changing. We are constantly working on identification and working with our local partners to ensure that we bring in all the resources so we can make sure that we partner with folks. So each camp is obviously mostly private, or they have different ownerships. And so on these, especially in this situation, so let's talk about this one more specifically. The event happened very fast. Rose over 20 feet, 30 feet within less than a 2-hour time span. On a holiday in the morning, there wasn't a lot of time in this case. As far as warnings. Obviously, there's a lot of things going around. We want to make sure that we focus on the early level. Regardless of the warning side of things, again, we want to make sure that we take care of our local community and focus on search and rescue operations. So please keep that question. We definitely want to get these addressed, but right now we want to focus on getting everybody that we possibly can out.
Has that number of the Camp Mystic campers at 27 changed?
As of right now, I do not think it has changed. It is still 27. Yes, sir.
Do you know how many people you guys are searching for as of right now, or is there no cap on that number?
So right now, we're kind of looking at this in two ways. Call it the known missing, which is the 27 camp kids that are missing. We will not put a number on the other side because we just don't know. Campers are coming in for 4th of July weekend. People are camped along the riverbank. People are coming in to visit. There's a number that we just don't know yet, and we don't know what we don't know. So as things are starting to develop and as things are starting to move along, we're not going to put a cap on this. We are just going to continue until we find everything else. One more question.
There are many children missing. Are there any camps?
Let me give it to somebody else.
Just one question about current rescues. Can you give us a sense about how often you're seeing a rescue, and just in terms of kind of like, for example, when your last rescue was?
So, obviously with the camps, we've been rescuing people out of these camps by the hundreds, all day. So there's a lot of folks that are shelter in place, so we leave them in place to make sure that we get them food, water, and some of these camps actually now are self-rescuing, if you will. Maybe that's not the right word, but they are self-extricating, if you will. So they're getting water's down, they're getting their own resources, they're not having to tie up local and state resources. We are monitoring them, and they're accounting for their own folks. So that has been going on obviously for over 800 plus people, and we're continuing to do that. So good.
Sorry, one more question. I absolutely appreciate that right now the focus is finding the missing. It's a very active search and rescue. But what do you say to the parents that are in grief, understandably frustrated as to how in the world this could happen? How in the world you could have so many campers in the way of this danger and not taken out of there ahead of this war?
Yeah, that's the question of the hour. But with these, this is last time it was this bad, and this one is even worse than that. Was 1987. You can't predict it. Everybody in the media even knows, everybody who does this and sees this every single day, you have the inverse effect of if you continue to push it, and you see this in Houston areas all the time, you cry wolf. What happens when you continue to ramp things up and you continue to put a lot of information out there? Again, not to harp on the media, but there's a lot of stuff that gets overspun up, and we see that way too often, and then that trickles down. So we did look at stuff. Obviously, I had told the story. I was out on the river trail at 3:30. I left about 4 o'clock. We did not see any signs of the river rising, and by 5:20, we almost weren't able to get out of the park on the upper end. It rose that quickly.
So was it a matter of just rising so quickly and this being a massive tragedy, that people weren't taking it seriously?
No, this was a massive tragedy, hands down. We are hitting we're hitting from our, again, flood maps, we're seeing some areas where it's hitting the 100-year flood thing. And again, we talked about the North and South Fork. That water hit perfectly. You heard Chief Kidd talk a little bit about, the wide area. This went from San Angelo to Waco and all. They stage where they can, but you do not know what's going to happen, one, until water falls, and two, the predictions were definitely off. That water and rain fell almost double of what was anticipated, both in the North and South Fork, and converged into one place, and it rose that quick. So thank you.
Sheriff, you please repeat the numbers again?
All right, that was Kerrville City Manager Dalton Rice who was speaking there at the end. And we heard from Kerr County Sheriff Larry Letha as well. To start this day, the mayor of Kerrville said today will be a hard day. It is proven true. The latest update on the number of dead in Kerr County alone, 43 dead, 28 adults, 15 children.
Okay, I believe that we want to go to something else right now.
10 in the morning.
So the news conference
one
continues.
to follow at 3 in the afternoon. Thank you.
Okay, that was just an update on when they'll give us updates tomorrow. It's still the same news conference. They're expecting updates at 10 in the morning and 3 p.m. tomorrow. As I was saying, 43 dead, 28 adults, 15 children. 12 adults have not been identified at this hour. 5 children have not been identified. They continue to say 27 campers from Camp Mystic are known missing. They can't put a number right now on the unknown missing, the people that were there visiting, people that were camping, people that were in some of these homes that we've reported on that were swept away in the Kerrville area.
And those leaders, obviously, as they're giving devastating news, the city manager said, we knew it would be that day. They knew last night when they were updating us throughout the day yesterday, they knew that once things settled down, the rain stopped, and that daylight would break, that we were going to continue to get devastating news. And that death toll has continued to climb. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say we also got a glimpse at the search. They're searching grid by grid. We heard that from Kidd earlier. What the city manager said is they are searching 100 meters on each side of the river. That's where the search and rescue operations are taking place, on foot, in the air. There are dogs, there are people on the river itself, game wardens that are going up and down. And 1 mile north of Hunt to Ingram, all the way to Kerrville and beyond is where these search and rescue operations are taking place. And the city manager very clear that that's the priority.
Right.
That the search and rescue is the priority right now. And the search and rescue takes precedence over everything, including buildings and cars and all that are in that area. They're looking for people right now.
Yeah, the only thing they said about buildings was that some crews were going into some homes, and that's when they usually put down something with spray paint just to let other rescuers know that other first responders have been there. There are hundreds of first responders right now on the ground. And the one thing that they also said that gave me hope was that this is when the Kerr County Sheriff spoke. He said, we're in good shape. We have all the resources that we need. We will be on this until we find the last body. But I'm saying that because we have heard from, local, county, state, federal aid that's been, or help, resources that have been given to this search effort, that they're saying we have the people that we need on this right now in order to try and rescue as many people as we can. Dalton Rice, the city manager, when he spoke, he said, we are in a marathon. Now, the other thing.
And he also talked about the fact that they're trying to figure out right now where their first responders can go to get a break, where their first responders can go to catch their breath. I thought it was also very nice of him to say he hopes the media takes a break and gets to rest, because this is a marathon. It's not something that's going to be over by the end of the day. I thought that was very well spoken when he said that.
I also wanted to talk about what other people who maybe live in Kerrville and don't have any damage, but some of what they're going through as well, because, you know, there are also people that have lost access to utilities. As far as the water, you know, you have to remember that when you have this much water being dumped out, coming from, and also water that is picking up vehicles, cars. I mean, how about that video that we saw in Hunt where that gas pump was knocked over?
Right.
We don't know about
a number of gas pumps.
All those nasty chemicals that are in that water right now. They don't want the water, the drinking water in Kerrville, to become contaminated. So what they're saying is that they're operating on well water right now. There are restoration efforts across the state, and you have linemen, so many other people from across the state of Texas coming in to try and restore power.
Yeah, they expect they could be on well water in Kerrville for 4 weeks. Luckily, they have that capacity, but instead of using the Guadalupe River for part of their water, they can't right now. They got to wait for it to kind of flush out there. So that's going to be a 4-week process. Also, we got a glimpse into just how many rescues are taking place at the 18 camps that are along the Guadalupe that stretch from Kerrville to Ingram to Hunt and then further up towards the north and the south fork of the Guadalupe River. They said that they have had hundreds of rescues so far that have been carried out at some of these other camps other than Camp Mystic, hundreds. And that some of these camps are self-evacuating or sheltering in place, that they have the capability to do that. Even though some of them may still be without power. They said Hunt could be without power for days. Parts of Hunt, Texas, that they are sheltering in place. They have food, they have water, they have everything they need. They're just letting people know we're fine, but we're staying put because we don't want to tax the resources that are out there searching for people who may still be out there alive along the banks of the Guadalupe River.
He did make it clear that county leaders and rescuers have been in touch with some of those people also who have let them know, hey, we're okay. So that is obviously good there. But yeah, there's no clear number. I'm sure that while he was speaking there were lots of other people being rescued as well. So that's why it's impossible to really say how many people have been rescued. When this is all said and done, obviously we should have a clear idea as to what that number is. Okay. So now we're going to take a break. We're going to go to a break, and then we'll be right back. Thank you for joining us. We did get an update just a short time ago from county leaders there in Kerr County. The death toll continues to rise. 43 people have been confirmed deceased. These were people that were found in Kerr County. We do want to specify that because yesterday there was the possibility that there was someone else who was found in Kendall County. So we still don't know what they've been able to figure out from that. But the 43 people who have been confirmed dead were found in Kerr County. We know that 28 of them, 28 adults, 15 of them children. Still 12, and of those 12 adults and 12 adults and 5 children have not yet been identified.
Yeah, I was also getting some information about the fact that Kerrville is starting a rebuilding recovery effort, the Kerrville Chamber of Commerce, and they've put out a logo for Kerrville Strong. We'll hopefully get a little bit more information on that tonight. I also want to go now to John Paul Barajas, who is standing by. He is between Seguin and Gonzales along the Guadalupe River, where some people have decided to leave, John Paul, but some people have decided to stay.
That is the case, Steve. This stretch of Highway 90 between Seguin and Gonzales saw close to 10 inches of rain early in the morning, so we've been checking on this area, especially because it is downriver from Kerrville, where we saw that devastating rain that you guys have been covering. Now, one of those campers said that before we got here, a firefighter came out and just gave them a heads up and warning that about 5 or 6 miles upriver that the flood gauges or the water gauges there were rising, just kind of telling them to keep an eye on it. For him, it was too much. With everything else, I think they're trying to talk to me right now. Is there something going on? Okay, so he was trying to get out of here because of the danger of potential floodwater rising. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Even with the infrastructure's there, it's not enough to handle that.
We had close to 10 early this morning here.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was a lot. The river back here, we went back down there, and it's up, but it's not out of its banks, really. It's just up.
So yeah, so that was more of a heads up. We've also stopped at a couple other places like McQueenie. The dam there was holding up fine when we were there a few hours ago. The river, the canals there looked like they were holding up just fine. But again, something to keep in mind if you're along the path of the Guadalupe River, to keep an eye on how things come downstream, even when it's not raining. We also stopped in Seguin. Police there told us that things are opening back up. The roads are opening back up. There's some slight road damage and property damage, but luckily they had no injuries and just a few water rescues. Steve, Stefania?
Yeah, good news from there. Thank you, John Paul. We also have been monitoring the weather situation and just what's going to be happening over the next few hours, over the next few days. We are in a wet pattern, Adam, where it seems most afternoons we're just getting rain. That has switched over to a pattern where it seems we're getting more sustained rain really anytime.
Yeah, right now it's going to be more during the daylight hours rather than at nighttime, and really more scattered in nature, but some localized bullseyes. That's the thing, and I expect a few more bullseyes anywhere from I-35 to the Rio Grande come tomorrow afternoon. Now, this is interesting. I'm going to show you. So I have the Guadalupe River, and actually all the rivers, highlighted in blue here, and I want to show you a video of just north, so just upstream, barely upstream, basically right here at First Crossing, where you see First Crossing right before the river flows into green. The video of the Guadalupe from the heavy rainfall earlier today and how quickly and how significantly it rose. Now this is near a tubing rental area. I believe it's Jerry's Rentals, Jimmy's Rentals. Anyway, I forgot. Jerry's Rentals. Yeah, Jerry's Rentals right there, crossing a little bit of a campground. And usually this bridge is, way above the water, but you see just how quickly and how hard it was flowing earlier today. Here's another good example. Boat ramp 23 was bow dry until today. This is around Canyon Lake, and off into the distance you see a lot of that debris as well, because that's where everything flows from Kerr County all the way into Canyon Lake, and then from Canyon Lake down to the Gulf is a separate situation. Now this was 2 miles south of the Guadalupe River in Seguin. This is mainly flash flooding, not river flooding. This is the flash flooding, the street flooding, the kind that comes from the torrential downpours, not necessarily the swell of water from the river. But this is how hard it was raining in the Seguin area earlier today. And we did see upwards of 4 or 5, even 6 inches of rain in some of those spots. So that's the latest on our KSAT Connect. And, I appreciate everybody sending this stuff in. And this one really tells the tale of where the Guadalupe flows into Canyon Lake. That's not land. Those are logs. That's debris. Generally big logs, but also people's belongings that have been swept into where Guadalupe River flows right into Canyon Lake. And Steve, you mentioned more rain chances. Yeah, the chance of some more showers later on, just over the next couple of hours, really. What we're watching on the radar now is just light rain. Nothing significant. This is light rain. Most of the action was closer to Austin. And by the way, some flooding up in the Austin area, especially Georgetown, along the San Geronimo. They had issues there, still ongoing. Around here, it's just very light in nature and the potential for some of the downpours as we get on into the next couple of hours. Look at the rainfall. I mentioned the heavy rain. Right along the Guadalupe River, you can see it highlighted in blue. And this purple color is at least 6 inches of rain. So 7.7 inches, right where I showed you the video, about 7.5 inches of rain estimated earlier this morning, causing the issues. And then not quite as much over McQueenie and all the other lakes dammed up along there, but from Seguin eastward along the Guadalupe River, from downtown Seguin, 6 to 7, even upwards of 9 inches. Look at that, just south of Kingsbury. This is just a few miles south of Kingsbury. Let's see. That is 5 miles south of Kingsbury and 5 miles east of downtown Seguin. Really quick look at our rain chances going forward. Give you the whole 7-day forecast here. And I anticipate more pop-up downpours tomorrow afternoon, even midday, limited Monday, and then late Tuesday we see that action pick up again as well.
And I'd love to know how this weather pattern specifically, or all this moisture in the air, how that's affecting search and cleanup efforts and all of that, because we've seen so much debris, so much mud, and so a lot of people can't get into their homes or their properties. Our Zaria Oates is, well, in a moment, we're about to go to her over in Center Point.
Well, and Center Point is an interesting city because it's a place, or an interesting town. It is a place that was cut off for part of yesterday. I mean, the firefighters could not get to the fire station because the fire station was flooded out itself. So let's go to our Zaria Oates now, who is standing by. Last time we saw you, Zaria, you were on the banks of the Guadalupe. Looks like you're back there.
Yeah, I'm back there, and we're actually going to turn around just a little bit and point you up at the bridge. They're leaving right now, but the Schertz Fire Department and Bexar County Fire Department, the ESD2, they're both leaving through this bridge that's blocked off. It happened literally as you guys were getting ready to come over to me. They have been critical. People from out of town, people not from the Hill Country, have been critical to the rescue missions, to trying to find people, to trying to help people who have already been found and maybe need some more assistance. Now, right now, we're actually on the Guadalupe River right here. If you can see kind of in this area where the water looks like it's kind of bubbling up, a woman told me that's actually a road there. This is where people used to be able to drive through over the river. Now it's completely covered by the river. There are also some other people who have been helping look for people, their rescue teams, their volunteers, none of them being paid for their work. They are working tirelessly. Some of them tell me they were out here last night and then again today, just trying to help find some people who are missing in this area. And I did speak with one of those people. He said that he has found lots of stuff, but no people. Take a listen.
So I grew up here, so I've been here through the 80s and 90s. So twice in the 80s, like I was saying, we've seen water hit the bottom of this big bridge, but never necessarily go over or leave debris like this. And then obviously in the 90s, we had some floods here and there, but this was probably the worst one damage-wise and with fatalities and stuff that I can remember, so for sure.
And, I mean, we're still seeing the water rush down.
Yeah.
How is it seeing that it's so bad and you had it come up to your driveway?
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen this before, so it's not a huge surprise to me. Actually, the debris blocking the road right here is kind of more of a surprise than anything.
Really?
I've never seen it completely block the road like this. So
how far out does this road, I guess, normally go?
It goes all the way across. So the flat kind of, you see the water kind of double over and then it flattens out and then it goes down again. That's a low water crossing right there.
This is, people can drive on this road. Wow. That's
So normally there's a road that comes down and it goes all the way across the other side of the river.
So does the river, it's supposed to go underneath the road?
Yes.
Wow. It literally just looks all like the river.
Yeah. Right now it is.
And have you been seeing lots of helicopters up there?
Yes, we've probably seen at least 5 or 6 throughout the day, and they've just been going the length of the river. So essentially what you see them doing, they've been doing all day. They've just been flying the length of the river back and forth. I heard that some of them have thermal imaging, so they're still looking for people. But I haven't heard if that's been successful or not, so.
I mean, you have a little one.
Yeah.
How does it make you feel knowing Camp Mystic?
That is just so heartbreaking to think that as a parent, you send your kid to go do something super fun and then it turns into a tragedy like this. I mean, that's just, my heart goes out for them. I know everybody here in the Hill Country is praying for them and hoping against hope that they'll be found okay. But yeah, that's just heartbreaking.
It's devastating, and I mean, I know you mentioned there might have been a house coming through, but like hearing that the camp is just like demolished. It's bad. What do you think the recovery or the rescue efforts and recovery of just the land and stuff will look like?
Here in Center Point, I know like houses along the river, they'll continue to clean. There's dumpsters out all along the road up here from people cleaning out already. Like, we started the cleanup process. A lot of this along the river will probably stay how it is and just kind of let like nature kind of retake everything. Yeah, there's nobody that's going to come down here and necessarily like clean it all up.
Wow. Do you feel like there should be some?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's unfortunately this is part of living along a major river like this. And if you've lived along one for very long, you kind of know what to expect. And so the trees are a little more damaged than I've ever seen. And I know property owners will probably clear out a lot of these ones like you see that are bent like this, but like this piece right here, probably nobody will touch.
And the trees are like wrapped around trees.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and like I said, you can see there's a tree stuck up underneath the bridge. It's like literally it's like sticking out of it like it got stabbed.
Yeah.
So.
And one of the other things that we've been talking about a lot are those missing people. There are several missing people from this floodwater. And one of the people that we spoke with earlier today, that he didn't want to be on camera just yet. He was coming down here to come look for his loved ones, his cousins. He says they're all missing. There are 5 of them who are missing. If you remember the picture of the woman who was in the tree, Devin, they're related to her. Their names are Michelle Crossland, Cody Crossland, Tasha Ramos, Joelle Ramos, and Kendall Ramos. And we're going to zoom in on some pictures just because we're just now getting these over from the family. So these are some of the pictures. If you've seen any of these people and you're able to help in any way, if you're able to help get the family closer to them, or if you know how to get in contact with any of these people, we are trying our best to get as much information out there about the people who are missing from this flooding. This is such a severe situation, and there are so many people still unaccounted for. We will continue to keep you updated on air and online. And of course, as we learn more information either about the missing people or about the recovery efforts happening here or any other law enforcement or first responders coming out to help, we'll keep you updated. Live in Center Point, I'm Zaria Oates.
Thank you, Zaria. And so many pictures and so many stories of just loved ones desperate to find their missing people, the people that they love that are still unaccounted for in all this. And like we said, we know about the 27 campers from Camp Mystic. There are untold others right now that are missing, that were just there on vacation, that were Airbnb-ing it, that were camping along the river. So
maybe their family members or their other loved ones didn't know that they were in that specific area. It's also been very hard to reach people for the past few days because cell service is down, Wi-Fi is down. I do want to give a number just because if you're watching this and when it comes to the missing people, if you have a family member that you're trying to get in touch with that was in the Kerrville area, there's a number that you can call. It's a call center that's been set up. 830-258-1111. Again, 830-258-1111. And when the Kerr County Sheriff spoke about an hour ago, he said that when you call that number, you make sure that you give the person your loved one's last known location. It's very important to have that information right now.
Yeah, you know, when we talk about the 18 camps that are spread out along the Guadalupe River, the Hunt, Ingram, Kerrville area, I had daughters that went to one of the camps. It's not far from Camp Mystic. I can imagine what it's like getting a call or seeing the news that the Guadalupe is out of its banks and wondering where my loved one is, hoping they're safe. Our Myra Arthur joins us now live from Kerrville. Myra, I know that you're very familiar with the camps that are up and down the Guadalupe, the banks of the Guadalupe. I mean, that's where your thoughts are really right now. And as we speak, you still hear the helicopters that are part of this search and rescue mission, and they are making it very clear that that is the priority, search and rescue right now.
Absolutely, Steve and Stephanie. I mean, the sound of Kerrville right now is the sound of helicopters flying overhead. It is the sound of chainsaws. It is the sound, in some cases, of sirens. There is so much heavy machinery in this city right now. You know, we just wrapped up that press conference that we were attending, that you mentioned, with local officials here. And just in the parking lot where we were, the number of ATVs, the number of boats, the number of just large, high-profile vehicles, it's astounding to see it all in one place. And we have seen several helicopters flying over the river and really kind of hovering in some locations. They're not moving quickly. They are, it would appear to be actively looking and keeping an eye out. And we did hear earlier in a press conference today that thermal imaging technology that the person Zaria spoke with moments ago, that is still going to be used so that this effort can continue well into the night. And it is a 24/7 operation right now. And just looking at the way that the banks of this river have been destroyed, this is an incredible search effort. Not only knowing what first responders are looking for, that's hard enough, but knowing the way in which they are having to search for those missing folks. There are so many piles of large brush and thatch and logs and debris. Another helicopter overhead here, so bear with me. There are pieces of people's homes that are wrapped up in that debris, around the trunks of trees. I want to mention the numbers that, honestly, I know we're all dreading because we know that they are climbing and we continue to expect them to do so. But in that latest press conference, the Kerr County Sheriff, Larry Latha, said that 43 people are confirmed dead. 28 of those are adults. 12 of those adults have not been identified yet. 15 of the victims are children, and 5 of those children have not been identified yet. They are still sticking with the number of known missing from Camp Mystic is 27 campers right now. That is not changing, at least according to their official known missing count. That's what they're referring to it as, the known missing. Because as you, Steve and Steph, mentioned, there are so many more people that they just didn't know they were here. They had no record of those folks in this area. I talked with a couple who rented a house in the Lakey area for the 4th of July. They drove down here today just to see what this area looked like. They didn't want to talk to me on camera, but a husband and wife, they had tears in their eyes, and they said it is one thing to see this on television, but it is another to see it in person. They were standing in front of a foundation of a home that we showed you an hour or so ago, hour and a half, that had just been swept away. That home is no more. It is nothing but that foundation. And you know, there are so many people who are coming to the area, whether first responders and local officials want them to or not, because it is certainly crowded enough with 1,500 plus people here on the ground. But folks are coming just to see it for themselves, and they're asking how they can help. And that was one thing that local officials did touch on in the latest press conference. They said what you can do is clean up your immediate area. Stay within your area, around your home. Do what you can to clean up debris, things of that nature. Don't go to these high traffic areas. You know, don't head out to the campgrounds of Camp Mystic. Don't go to some of these RV parks where we know that vehicles have been swept away. So that is something you can do as well. And another way to reach out to local officials about your missing loved one is email. If you have working internet access, you can type in those details about the last known location, floodrecovery@co.kerr.tx.us. I'll say that one more time, floodrecovery@co.kerr, as in Kerr County, .tx.us. When we were out in that neighborhood last, I talked with a man whose interview we shared with you, Tim Tompkins. He shared some cell phone video with me that he shot Friday morning outside of his house. And I want to show people at home what that looks like. And just, I'm going to be quiet for a minute so we can hear his reaction.
Whole houses are gone, all off the back of this. Whole houses. Oh my God. That's Guadalupe.
From where that home I mentioned was ripped off of its foundation.
Whole houses are gone, all off the back of this.
And he just told me that it is, you know, he was watching neighbors come out with their chainsaws, doing what they can, and this is going to stick with me a while. So it just shows you an incredible detail of the power of this water, but also the devastation of this community. The baby's room in that home that was swept off its foundation was found down the block, and neighbors who came out with their chainsaws to try to help, they were trying to cut it up so they can move away the debris. Neighbors are going to be dealing with a lot over the next couple of weeks, and one thing that did come out of that press conference was talk about how utilities have been affected. We heard from the Kerrville city manager saying that they will be operating off of well water at least for the next 4 weeks. Another month, they will be operating off of well water. They won't be pulling surface water because, as you can imagine, there are a ton of chemicals in all the water that has been traveling through this area. There's gas in it, other contaminants. They're working with the TCEQ to try to get things cleared up and tap into their usual source as quickly as possible. 600 customers without power. Basically, that's west of Ingram and south of 39. And they also mentioned that they have done about 100-meter clearance on either side of the river at this point, 1 mile north of Camp Mystic, up through Hunt, and up through Ingram. But again, it is a 24/7 operation that will be continuing. Right behind my camera here, we're still watching some of these first responder vehicles and heavy machinery pull out. And the sheriff told us today that in this effort, they will be on this until they find the very last body. Steve and Stephania, for now, we'll send it back to you.
Yeah, Myra, stay with me for a second. I want to talk about that house that was swept off and the baby's room was found next door. It was empty. They had been evacuated already, I'm hoping, before it was swept off the foundation?
No, that family did not make it. We heard that this morning, and then again confirmed with neighbors out there at the scene today. It was a family, a husband and wife, mother and father. They had an older child and then that newborn baby. And they told us today that that family did not survive this.
Oh, that's what I was fearing you were alluding to in that whole thing. So yeah, it's gonna, I mean.
And the neighbor next door, I'm sorry, go ahead, Steve.
No, you continue your thought, Myra.
The neighbor next door to that house, it's a husband and wife. They did survive this, but he told us yesterday morning when we interviewed him that he saw the water rising, heard it, woke up to that. By the time he went to get his keys to move his truck to higher ground, the water was in his truck. He said that's how fast it happened. They did not have a chance to get out, but somehow this couple was able to cling on to a crepe myrtle bush, which is not, you know, some giant tree. It's a crepe myrtle that they lasted clinging to that for half an hour before they were rescued.
That's just,
so one neighbor is a family of 4 that's gone, and the other neighbors did survive.
And that's the thing. I mean, you showed us earlier in your live shot large cypresses that look like they were peeled like bananas. That looked like the bark was just peeled back. Yet these people were a crepe myrtle was able to you know, they were able to use a crepe myrtle to hang on to. I mean, it's such a devastating thing, but also fluky in a way that a crepe myrtle can survive what a cypress tree upriver didn't.
It's incredible just to see the variation. I mean, you've got devastation in one area, stories of survival in another. And I have to tell you, when I was standing there talking to Mr. Tompkins, that neighbor who shared that video with us, right behind us was that home's foundation where the home is no longer and the family did not make it. And across the street, the mail was being delivered.
Yeah.
It was such a normal thing, but it was so eerie given the smell of gasoline that's in the air, given the sound of chainsaws, given the story this man was telling me about his neighbors, that something like that is going on, is continuing, something we see every single day, but just the contrast of those things. Like that couple from Lakey visiting told me, it's one thing to see it in pictures and video, it's another thing to witness it in person.
Yeah.
Experience it. Thank you so much for that live report, Myra. We really appreciate you. We're going to take a break, and then we'll be right back.
All right, welcome back. Our continuing coverage of the Hill Country floods, the floods that, have proven deadly. 43 people confirmed dead by the Kerr County Sheriff, 28 of them adults, 15 children. Just moments ago, Kerr County Sheriff Larry Letha talked about what we know so far.
As of 5:30, we have recovered 43 deceased individuals in Kerr County. Among these who are deceased, we have 28 adults and 15 children. 12 adults pending identification and 5 children are pending identification at this time. Our missing persons call center is open to those reporting missing loved ones. The phone number is 830-258-1111. Repeating, 830-258-1111.
Okay, so that was the sheriff speaking there. Also, if you do happen to call that number, make sure that you tell them the last known location of your loved one. This is new video right now that we're going to. It shows game wardens going through debris, and you can finally see, I don't think we've seen video like this just yet, where you have people who are part of the search and rescue effort actually going through that rough terrain. But you can see these are people who are obviously trained to do this kind of thing, but even they're having to hold on to trees and branches and all of that, because not only is there debris, but there's also a lot of mud everywhere. So it is treacherous terrain right now that all of these people have to get through.
Yeah, this is in the Cade Loop area where our Dylan Collier was reporting from earlier. Yeah, this is just part of the effort right now. We know that they are searching 100 meters on each side of the Guadalupe River, and they're starting from the North Fork and basically, or the north and where the north and south come together. And yeah, to get a good idea of just how slick and slippery it is. And as they try to look in to some of this debris and just see what's happening.
Yeah, he slipped twice there while he was
this is part of the search and rescue priority that we're talking about. And then 1 mile down river from the Hunt and through the Hunt and Ingram area, Kerrville through Hunt and Ingram.
You know, you don't really get an idea as to how large these trees are until you see someone next to one that's on the ground. And there you saw that game warden trying to peek through that brush. But, you know, obviously they're going to need to do a lot more than that to see if there's anything or unfortunately anyone there.
Well, I'm not sure how much more than that they can do right now. So I think this is the first part of the search and rescue, just hoping they can find somebody that's alive in there, maybe unconscious in there. Center Point also, we talked about that in an area. We had our Zaria Oates out there. It is an area where they have also seen rescues. Some people that floated along the river for 15 to 20 miles until they were rescued in the Center Point area. Gage Golding is a reporter from our sister station in Houston, KPRC. He's got this story from Center Point.
The Guadalupe River looking very different, as if it was just an afternoon shower that fell here. You would never guess just by looking at this river that a wall of water 30 feet deep was running through this riverbed, taking everything and anything with it. A daring rescue in the raging flash flood waters of the Guadalupe River. The now viral moment playing out in Carl Jeter's backyard in Center Point. What did you hear that drew your attention over there? What was she saying?
She was screaming, help, help, help.
Devin Smith has already been hanging on here for hours. She, along with her mom, dad, aunt, uncle, and sister, were camping along the river in Kerrville. the flash flood sweeping all of them away.
She noted that there was a refrigerator that multiple times had taken her under, and debris that kept trying to pull her underwater until she finally was able to get up into the tree.
Told about RVs going by and trees and stuff.
After floating more than 15 miles down the river, somehow Devin grabbing onto this tree, holding on for dear life, until Carl heard her screams and the rescue crews saved her.
We got to get back across. There's no words. I mean, it's a miracle. She said, you know, I guess God had a better plan for me.
Now to the worst part of this story. All 5 of Devin's family members who were swept along the way with her have yet to be found. The rest of her family now joining many across the Texas Hill Country that are left searching for some kind of answers. In Center Point, Gage Golding, KSAT 12 News.
Appreciate Gage helping us out. And this we've seen a lot of this over the last couple of days. People trying to find their missing loved ones. This is Greta Toronto. She's missing from Camp Mystic. This picture posted on Facebook by the school she attends in the Houston area. I want to just let you know we're going until 7 o'clock, but we want to end with these pictures that we have and the stories that people have about their missing loved ones, hoping to find them still.
We want to give you as many details as possible. And here for the next picture, we're going to go to the Odessa Police Department. Right there praying for one of its own, still missing in the aftermath of the flooding in Kerr County. That's Officer Bailey Martin. His girlfriend and parents were visiting the Hill Country for the holiday weekend. And that's a story that we're going to hear over and over again. People looking to go to the Hill Country to have a good time. And unfortunately, this is what happens. But there's Police Officer Bailey Martin.
Jeff Wilson, Amber Wilson, Shiloh Wilson, last seen at the HTR Texas Hill Country Campground in Kerrville. Also among the missing, Jeff is a teacher at Kingwood High School, which is northeast of Houston, our sister station in Houston, reporting the family on their way to a youth rodeo for Shiloh when this flooding hit.
Now this next picture, we're going to show you adorable Kellyanne Lytle. The photo that you're looking at was shared with us by her father. Kellyanne was at Camp Mystic. Still hasn't been found.
Telling you now about another family missing after the catastrophic flooding in the Hill Country. Tybee soccer coach Reese Zunker, wife Paula, 2 children, ages 8 and 3, have been reported missing. The family from Kerrville. Coach Zunker has been the soccer coach at Tybee High School for the past 12 years. According to family members, he and his family vacationing in Hunt. They were just up the road from Kerrville, along with Paula's mother, Lucy. The house sat on the river between Camp La Junta and Camp Mystic. They've still not been found. A family member reached out to KSAT with the following information. Quote, Reese and Paula are late 30s. Lyle is 8. Holland is 3. They went missing early this morning when the water swept the house they were staying in away. Paula's mother, Lucy, rescued by helicopter. The rest of the family is missing, end quote.
Now, this family is putting out pictures of 4 people that you see on your screen. Ella Cahill, along with Aiden Hartfield, Joyce Baden, and Reese Manchaca. They were in a house over in Hunt that was swept away. The address was 1769 Highway 39 over in Hunt, and all 4 of those people that you see on your screen are from Beaumont.
They were high school friends, just going on vacation. We also have some sad news, a Facebook page confirming that the camp director of Heart of the Hills, Jane Ragsdale, has died. She worked at the Heart of the Hills camp, longtime camper. Camp was not in session at the time of the floods. That's the Camp Heart of the Hills. It's distinctive because they have the red roofs that you see. It gives you an idea. And she will be the camp community, there are 18 separate camps, but they're one big family. And the camp directors know each other. The people that own and run the camps know each other. So when somebody is lost, everybody there feels it.
And, you know, we mentioned there that the camp wasn't in session. They were supposed to, Heart of the Hills was supposed to have another session starting tomorrow, and they put a message out on their Facebook and also on their website just confirming that they're not going to open this next session. That's been canceled.
We've been telling you about a phone number to call for information on missing people. If you have a loved one that's missing in Kerr County, somebody you haven't heard from, you can call this number, 830-258-1111. And as Stephanie has been saying, give the last known location of your loved one. That is what they'll be asking for when you call this number.
Yeah, try to give as many details as you can, but that is essential information for them to know. We also want to point you in the direction of shelters in Comfort. These are just in Comfort shelters that have been set up for people affected by the floods. You have Comfort High School and then the Emmanuel Lutheran Church over on High Street. And then in Kerrville, we have 3 shelters total: the Calvary Temple Church, Notre Dame Catholic Church, and the First United Methodist Church. And you can see all of the addresses on your screen. It's also information that we have on our website, ksat.com.
Yeah, reunification centers also, one at Ingram Elementary School, one at Arcadia Live in Kerrville, updating all this information online. As we leave you tonight, we want you to think about those 43 people who are dead and those that are still missing in the Hill Country. The latest update comes tonight on the Night Beat at 10.
See you then.